Hello, I am Omega Rider 1, and welcome back to my video series. This one, in fact, is not going to be about Gundam, of course. This one is going to be about the RPs that I have on my website, Omega Productions, the URL on my channel. Anyway, once again, I'm trying to gather more people. I say once again because I mentioned this in my other video about Gundam Universes. I'm trying to recruit people really for my site, and I'm looking for writers, artists, and pretty much anyone who's looking for a good time. But I just wanted to give a short overview of some of the RPs that I have on my site and see if they appeal to your taste. If they do, great. That's always welcome. Anyway, I'm going to start with the first one. I'm going to try and keep it short because it has a lot of history behind it, and it's a very, very, very long-running series. And I mean, I'm talking about hundreds of pages worth of shit. Good stuff, but not shit. Basically, just for the hell of it. Anyway. It's basically a free-for-all RP with anything goes kind of mentality. There are some rules to it, but generally they're not well spoken, and if you really want a true overview of what the rules are, you generally just ask me, because they're not going to be written out, because there's so few. And even then, it's mostly just minor little things that are not even important enough to really write down as rules to an RP. But anyway, like with Gundam Universes, it's writing a story, but you get to be more creative with this story. It's as if you're writing your own story, really, and you're not limited to anything. There are some limits. Once again, I don't want to talk about them really as rules, but there are some, like one. If there's already an RP about it on the site, then you shouldn't be involving it in the RPs. That's generally a rule. Sometimes I have broken that, but it's all for the sake of the story anyway. So, break rule number 1, which is don't RP in the Gathering of Heroes about something that's already an RP on the site. The second is, how should I put this? No god modding. That's another rule that I put in. No god modding, really. And that's actually very simple to not break, but it's also very easy. It's simple to not break it, but it's very easy to break it. So basically, RP as if you know how you're supposed to. Just don't do anything stupid. Basically, don't make your enemy's actions work for you. Basically, you don't do what your enemy does. You wait for them. Basically, leave your emotions blank. Basically, if I'm going to punch, I'm just going to say my character punches him, but I'm not like I'm punching him and then I'm going to grab him and then he falls to the ground. Anyway, moving on. Story-wise, pretty much you can involve yourself with any story that's going on at the time. There are multiple stories, and you can create one of your own, if you want to, that is. Otherwise, you can just join in on someone else's story, but I would recommend having at least a little bit of information, background information about your character, at least, or putting it in its profile, or at least mentioning it once in the post, in order to truly incorporate your character into the storyline. Anyway, Gathering of Heroes is the big one, and I'd say you have to see it to believe it. You can also go on to Koei Warriors and look in the archives section for the previous Gathering of Heroes topic and find out information about that. It's a good read. I'd recommend reading mostly my post under my other username, Omega Gundam. Basically anything with Omega, you should expect it to be me. So basically I would just recommend reading those if you want to shorten the time, or basically mine, or if you want a little extra information, read those that are replies to mine, basically, or questions towards me, because that's generally the main storyline. Anyway, the second one that I wanted to talk about was the SLB one, which is based off of my actual book series. I haven't really that I didn't really get to publish because the hard copies were thrown out, not by me but by someone else. So I have nothing to show for it except for a timeline, which I was so smart to keep. So now everything is historically accurate for the books, but the dialogue can be changed, which is why it's so good for an RP, and it's so flexible. And that's a good thing, after all. But basically the SLB series is like a Schoolyard Wars meets Dynasty Warriors, basically. It's basically the Schoolyard Brawl, basically, where the kids are fighting on the scale of Dynasty Warriors. Or, to put it in general terms, something that everyone would understand, I'd say. I actually don't know how to put it into terms everyone would understand. Because I know not everybody plays the Dynasty Warriors series or the Samurai Warriors series. For those of you who play the Capcom ones, that would be Sengoku Basa or Devil Kings. Any kind of, like, one versus many concept, basically, if I put that correctly. Did I? Yeah, I think I did. But it's basically like that. You go through the storyline as a created character, of course, who's normal. Unlike the other ones where you can have all these special powers. No, you're normal. You don't get any special techniques. All you do is just fight as you would as a normal human. Whereas your commanders are these uber powerful characters that are going to be a bit supernatural in that kind of aspect. But once again, it's mostly about the story. There is a little bit of comedy thrown in, like Gathering Heroes, where it's very free-for-all and anything can go. But it's much more about the drama, about the actions of the characters, and sometimes very, very touching moments that generally I hope that a lot of you can get in on, because I know there's a lot of great writers out there, and I really want to have you guys on the site, those of you who can really write good, because first of all, I'm a writer myself. And I definitely appreciate good writing and good art, which comes to my final little tidbit, which I'm going to close the video on. This is not about any of the RPs, actually. This is about two sections that I have on my site, which is for writing. If you're a writer, you can have short stories, you can have full-length stories, you can have poems, you can have essays. You can put anything you want on the site that has to do with writing. And you're free to do whatever you want with the writing section, but at least make it relevant to, like, writing. Like, make it a story, make it a short story, make it an essay, make it in any one of those formats, and you should be good to go. And on the other hand, we've got an art section, which is for graphics artists or, like, actual artists. Like, if you're a painter or if you're a drawer and you have pictures of these, even if you're in photography, it would be wonderful to see you join the site just to put your art up in this section. And that'll be all for today. I hope that I will be getting more people joining my site after watching this video, but let's just hope and pray. Okay, I am Omega Writer, and I will be seeing